So you should see that it's recording now in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. All right, another thing I do with this presentation, I also pin the tabs that I'm working on during the day so that I don't accidentally close some of the tabs. So to pin a tab, all I have to do is right-click on a tab up here, and I can click on pin. And when I click on pin, then that allows me to pin the tab. And do you see where I don't have an X there? So I can't accidentally close it. If I want to unpin it at any time, I can right click on here, click on unpin, and then I've got it right there again, and I can hit the X to close it. But even when I have it pinned, if I right clicked on the tab, I have all of these other options here too. So there are some different things like this within Google Chrome that you can do with your tabs and with some different apps out there. So I wanted to show you about the pinning the tab. Again, if this is your first time here with us, my name is Lisa Schwartz. My background, I did spend 19 years in the classroom teaching 6th through 9th grade at Quincy Public School District. I taught various subjects. Majority of the time I did teach computers and computer science, taught mainly with Microsoft, and then the last few years that I was in the classroom brought Google in. And so I know that the struggles of learning Google and how you're constantly learning with this technology. And then the last 2 years here, I have been working with the Learning Technology Center of Illinois and helping give professional development to educators in Central Illinois. So I work with 10 ROEs and the school districts within those ROEs, and it's highlighted here in the green counties. Like I said earlier, we've got Nicole here with us today. And Nicole, I'll let you introduce yourself and take it away.
All right, good morning, everyone. Nicole, I am Lisa's counterpart up in the Chicagoland area. It looks like I have a teeny tiny little section of the state, but the Chicagoland area is quite large. It houses probably around 33% of the school districts in Illinois. So I do what she does. You can see on there, I have an education background as well. As an FYI, I'll be monitoring the chat for Lisa today. If you see me turned, it's because I have a dual monitor, and the second one is bigger for my old eyes, so I'm trying to keep up with the chat on that window. So happy to be with you today. Thanks.
All right, well, we're glad to have you with us as well, Nicole, and everybody else that's with us. So I do have a dual monitor too. I started having a dual monitor when I was teaching and had to transfer grades from Google Classroom to Skyward, and having 2 monitors was awesome. And ever since having 2 monitors, I haven't gone back. So if you've never had the opportunity to work with 2 monitors, maybe try that out sometime and you'll realize what you've been missing. And so if you do see me looking away at times, my Zoom, where you guys are, you're at a different, you're on my monitor to the left. So I wouldn't be looking at the camera if I'm looking at you. And again, thank you, Nicole, for helping out today as well. So again, here's our mission. If you haven't heard of the Learning Technology Center before, and then also on slide 6, we've got some online learning. We've got a community that you can become a part of to increase your professional learning network out there. And this is a great place to post questions to and get responses. So if we have time at the end, I will show you about the LTC community. What we're looking at today is Google Forms, Sheets, and Screencastify. Again, majority of the time we'll probably be spending Google Forms, but if you've been with us with other workshops, if we don't cover some of the questions you may have, usually we stay on after to go over more things. So you always have that option. I've had some educators reach out to me too about some questions, and then sometimes we post those questions on the community. So hopefully once you get more comfortable with that, you can post the questions yourselves. But feel free for now to reach out to Nicole or I or anybody else from the LTC. I also try to put in here some links that you can access for some ideas and resources too. So if you are familiar with forms and you're just here to see what else is out there and new or some ideas, feel free to look at the other links that's in the slide deck as well. So that's how I try to do differentiation, that we have over 100 participants with us today, and everyone's at different levels with their knowledge of technology and or Google. So to start off here with Google Forms, so educators use forms to maybe survey their students or parents, or survey the staff. You can use it even as an assessment and data collection. So within forms, there are 9 types of questions that you can use, and then you can also insert images and videos. And I'm going to walk you through the process of doing all of that. Again, I've got some links here for some different forms out there. If you look at this daily check-in, I liked using this one because sometimes you don't know how the kids are doing. And even during this time of remote learning, you're not with them face-to-face every day, and some of them might not be joining you for your Google Meets or your Zoom meetings. But this really hit home one day when I had a student who was usually happy, go lucky, and the student was just down that day for some reason. And with so many other students in the classroom, they didn't want to take me aside and hear other students. They didn't want other students to hear what they wanted to tell me. So that's where this daily check-in came from. And come to find out, this student's pet had died. Their dog had died. So I don't, if any of you are a pet owner or have a pet, they become your family. So pretty traumatic event going on in the student's life. So this was nice to have, so then they could go here to fill out, and then they didn't have to tell me to be afraid of other people hearing. So this daily check-in is great. So feel free to look at it, fill it out so you can see what's in the rest of this. So here's some ideas for forms. So feel free to look at those. I'm not going to go ahead and click on all of them right now, but there are links there. So we'll go ahead and get started with creating a new form. How can you go and create a new form? If you've been with us before, you realized there's multiple ways to do the same thing within Google. So right here, there's 4 different ways you can create a new form. So feel free to go whichever way that you feel most comfortable with. Is there a right or wrong way to do this? No. So I will go over here to the waffle, and I can go down here to forms. So when you do go this route, you do get to see some templates and things that Google has for you. So your template gallery may look a little bit different than mine. Sometimes I found school districts will turn off the template gallery. So don't panic if you don't see the template gallery there, and or maybe have a discussion with your tech person or department. But if I clicked on template gallery here, here's some other templates that are out there. So there was education work, so feel free to look at those and use them if it fits what you need. In the classroom, I sometimes had the students, fill out a t-shirt sign-up form. So I just used the one that Google provided, so I didn't have to create it. And one thing I did though, so I pushed this out to students to tell me their t-shirt size. I put in the preview of the t-shirt that we were getting, and they filled it out. I did not, and I'm going to walk you through this. So if this is too much for you right now, hold on tight and I'll walk you through how to do this. But what I did, so the kids, I sent this to their email, they filled it out, and then I ordered the shirts. Well, I ordered one too many. Come to find out, I had a student who accidentally filled out this form twice. When I looked back at the timestamp, it was over a week So let's say some of them filled it out April 3rd, or this one person filled it out April 30th, and that same person filled it out again, let's say May 6th. Well, I could have done a couple things. I could have went up here to the gear and limit it to one response, which I should have done, and I forgot to go and change that. Or there's a spot where I could stop accepting responses right here. So it's like with anything, you might live and learn, and this was where I lived and learned on this mistake. So don't panic with that. So again, if you go into the waffle and go into the forms, this is how you can start a new form. So I just talked about the templates there. Feel free to take a look at the templates. If you look right here, when I go back into the templates, there is a general tab here. So this is, again, usually pushed out from Google. And then there could be a tab from your school district. So the Learning Technology Center could put templates available here if we had one that we used on a regular basis. But as you can see, we don't have any. So then I can just go here and click on a blank form, and then I can start a form. So if I wanted to, with the form, if I type in a title here, I'll type in just example right now. And then as you can see, it's saving. All changes saved in Drive. I didn't have to hit a button or anything. It changes automatically. So then I typed an example here. Then if I come up here, I didn't type anything up here when I clicked to the upper left-hand side of my screen. It just went ahead and put the title there for me, example. So ready to go here. So right here, I've got questions that I can ask. Like I said, there's 9 different types of questions you can put on here. I will tell you, when you are making a form, I always, with students, this is my personal preference, I always had 2 questions on here that I always asked. I always asked, what is your first name? And what is your last name? Because sometimes if I just ask, what is your name? They might just put their first name and not their last name. So what is your first name? And then did you see how this automatically changed to short answer? And then it just shows me, yep, I've got a spelling error, or in this case, remove the space. So it also does spell check, and I don't know, maybe that's my Grammarly doing that. It looks like I've got Grammarly extension on here. But so going back here, what is your first name? It automatically went to short answer. If for some reason I don't want it short answer, I just come over here and click on this down arrow, and I can change it to whatever type of question I need it to be. So I'll keep it short answer. And then I always want the students to answer this. So I would make it required. But I will tell you this, another trick that I do is I usually don't make it required until I've completed the entire form, I previewed it, and that's how I want it to send out to the students. So, and that might make more sense later when I show you why I don't require it here in the beginning, but right before I send it to the students, I do require it. So then I've got this question, what is your first name? Then I come here to the plus sign. I can add a question right here, and I can type, what is your last name? If it's a question that I'm asking frequently on forms, another shortcut I could do underneath the add a question, I could come here and it says import question. I can click on import question, and then it brings up, here's my other forms that I previously used. So if I click on this one, it brings over here import questions. Let me put that at the bottom of the screen. So if I want this question in there, I could put this one in there as well, but I've already typed it. So then I'm just going to put that one right now and hit import question, and it puts it in there for me. Since I had already started a question, I can delete this if I want, or I could move these around. So you can see when I'm working in a question, this box is kind of highlighted blue. So I want what is your last name right above this question. So do you see how my mouse changed to this double line arrows? I can just click on this and drag it up, and voila, it changes the order of my questions. Again, it's short answer. If I want to, I can also insert an image right here as well by just clicking on that image picture there. And then this is where the short answer text is going to be. Another thing here, I can duplicate. So if this question I want to ask again, or for it to be similar, I could duplicate and then just change it so I don't have to retype everything. And then, so if I'm asking another question here, I already had that there, but again, if I don't want this here, I can hit delete, and then I just have 2 questions here. So let me just show you with this right now. If I go up here to the I, this is preview. So if I preview it, this is what it's going to look like when students take this. So it's going to ask, what is your first name? What is your last name? And then they submit it. But if I want, so if I like the form and how it's presented right now, if I hit required and I come down here and hit required for both of these, do you see how then the asterisk shows up here? And if I go back to preview, it's got the asterisk there. It's showing it's required, kind of similar to the form you filled out today. I don't know if you noticed it. Let me pull up that form that you filled out today, or if you haven't filled it out, don't worry. You can fill it out at the end. But did you see how some of these had asterisks by it, that it was required for you to complete? Some of them didn't have asterisks, so that meant that that wasn't required, that you had to do. So then if I go back to this form here, so if the student answered this question here, and then, oh, they don't want to answer that one for some reason, or they missed it, and they hit submit, it won't let them submit the form until all of the answers that are required answered. So the required part, they can't accidentally miss a question and not answer it completely if you have it required. Another thing with the required button that I like to wait until the end is if I put a section into it. So there's another reason to that, and I'll explain that here in a minute as well. So those were short answers. So I'm going to jump over here to this example here that I've created. So right now I've got, what is your first name? What is your last name? Do you see that I don't have these required yet? Then if you jump down here to this question, so again, I hit the plus sign and I created a linear scale. So this question was, how many siblings, brothers and sisters, do you have? So what this does, I created a scale 0 to 10, 0 being none and 10 being wow. And I could have put whatever, whatever comment in there that I wanted to. I just put the word wow in there, and then that will create a linear scale for them to pick the number 0 to 10. You can also create a question that you're asking for a date. So in this case, this question is asking, when is your birth date? So if I go over here to the plus sign, and if I just start typing, it's multiple choice right now, but if I just start typing, when is your birth date? Do you see how it automatically changed this to date? So if it doesn't for some reason, you can always change that, but it's using artificial intelligence to try to pick up on what they think you want. Another thing there, I don't know if you saw, when I started to type, I thought it was birth, but it brought down some months here. Okay, of course it's not going to do it right now. So again, they are using some more artificial intelligence on the back end for that sometimes it will give you choices. That might come up for some others. So do you see how it changed it to short answer? And why was that? Because I misspelled birth date. So if I change it to birth date, then it automatically changes it to date. So they think they know what you're thinking. And most of the time it seems like they know what I want. So again, with this, since I already have it here, I can just delete it and it goes away. I don't know if some of you are noticing with this form, as I'm showing you this right now, you're seeing the answer key. So on this form, I've got the answer key. This form, I did not. I didn't turn this into a quiz. So you can always create a form, and then you can, once you create that form, you can turn it into a quiz. You don't have to start off with a quiz right in the beginning. Another thing here, another type of question here is a drop down. So on this question, I'm asking, what is your school mascot? So then I put in a bunch of different school mascots here, and then they would select from the drop down. If I don't want one of these answers here, I can always come over here and click the X and it removes it. So it's very easy. If I make mistakes or put in too many options, I can always go and add or remove options over here. This one, what kind of pets do you have? This is a checkbox type of question where they can check on several different boxes depending on what kind of pets they have. So, and when I do a preview, I'll show you what I mean by that. Another thing here is, what is your favorite website? So I'm asking this question, what's your favorite website? So I want to make sure that I get a website back in the URL form. So what I can do, if you see, I've got a little bit something extra here underneath short answer. So it is a short answer type of question. But then if I come here to the 3 dots, again, if you're new with us, with the Google training, hopefully the big takeaway you take away from any of the apps that you're learning about is that the gear and the 3 dots, so the gear up here and the 3 dots on any of the apps, know that you click those and then there's more options there. So what I did, I clicked on these 3 dots and I can do a response validation. So with the response validation, what that allows me to do is with the short answer text, I want it to be text. I have options here if I wanted it to be a number or length or regular expression, but I want it to be text. And then with text, then I can filter it. Do I want it to contain a certain word? Doesn't it contain a certain word? Do I want an email address here for the answer? In this case, I want the URL. That's the website address. For any of you guys out there, if you want to know what URL stands for, it stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So there you have it for some of you who wanted to know what URL stood for. And then here's the custom error text if there's something that I want to give them if they don't put in the right answer. So so I can put that in there. Okay.
What does URL stand for?
URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator.
Resource, uniform.
All right. And then here's where I can put a picture in. So here's a school lunch. And then I'm asking the kids, write about your favorite school lunch. So again, with this, I did do the response validation. And it's, again, it's going to do a paragraph here for me. Length, I chose length for the paragraph. And then I can do a minimum character count or a maximum. So I did a minimum 75. Here, I put what is the code for the classroom. Some of you might be familiar with breakout rooms. And some people are using forms instead of using an actual lock. They might use a Google form to do a breakout room in. So kids could fill out a form, and once they get the combination right or whatever, then they can move on to the next section. And this is how you would set it up here in a Google form. So what I've done is, what is the code for the classroom? Come down here and did response validation again. And the correct answer is, I just put 2020 for the year. And I put number is number, so it's got to be exactly. And then I gave them a prompt that, remember, it is 4 numbers, so that they're not guessing a lot, and hopefully then by the clues that they received, then they can break out of this section of the Google form. And then another question here is, what is the capital of Illinois? Usually, probably when you're asking a question like this, it would be multiple choice. But again, I wanted to show you a response validation that I had several different correct answers here. And that I put text, it contains Springfield. Again, I could put a custom error text here if I wanted to. And then this one was worth 1 point. So as you can see, even on a quiz, you can decide to make it how many ever points you want, and you can decide not to give points for certain questions. So then after I've got all of these questions completed right here, then what I did, I came over here and I added a section. So you can add sections to your form. Why should you add a section? Some people just like to break it down, maybe one section to be multiple choice, another section true, false, another section short answer or paragraph, whatever it may be. But you will understand here in a minute why, when I do have sections, that I don't make the answers required in the beginning until I've already edited my whole entire form and I'm ready then to send it to the kids. Because if I make all of these questions required right now and I go to preview my form, I can't go to my next section. I can't preview my next section unless if I go through and answer all of the questions that I required. So again, I will show that to you here in a second. So right here, after section 1, I can have them continue to next section, or based on the answers, I could have them submit form or go back to a section if I need to. So you do have control over of what section they go to. So section 2, I just labeled it multiple choice, but again, you can set it up how you would like to. Here I put a video in. So if any of you guys know Jerry Brooks, his videos are usually safe to use here in education. He's a principal from Kentucky, and he is so relatable. So here he's got a video of different games that you could play. So I just put this video in here. What's nice about putting videos in Google Forms is that you can, it eliminates all the ads. So it won't show any inappropriate ads on the side or down at the bottom. And then when it's done playing, it stops playing. It doesn't continue on to another video or an ad. So Google Forms is a great place to show videos. And especially if you want the kids to respond to the video that you've watched. So here I put a question: what games would you like to try after watching the video? So one of the games is dice. I could put other here that they could list something else that they saw in the video. So there was a question, and then here I just put another question here, multiple choice. I want to see if this pops up. Sometimes when you type in, like what is the capital of Illinois or Switzerland or Germany, any country, it sometimes will pop up 4 different answers for you, with, of course, with one of the right answers. So again, that's artificial intelligence. I saw it earlier on one of the questions I was typing in, it was popping up the answers. I don't know if I create a new question, if it will. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So suggested correct answer is Berlin. And then other option suggestions. So Rome, Madrid, Paris. There we go, we'll have 4. And then since I've already turned this into a quiz, it is showing the green check mark there that this is the right answer. Okay. So I know we just went through a lot of things. Again, take a breath. A lot to cover. Remember, I am recording this, so if you need to go back to different snippets in here, you will be able to do that as well. So we've got, let's say this form is done. We want to see if we have any errors or see if this is how we want it to look. So I can come up here to the I for preview. And when I click on preview here, this is what it's going to look like when the students or whoever's taking the form. So it's got the questions here. This is what the linear scale looks like. And remember, I put the words none and wow in there. You could put whatever 2 descriptive words you wanted in there. Here's the drop down. And that's what the drop down looks like. And then here's the checkbox.
It's open.
Click several check boxes. Here's the favorite website. Let me show you this. So let's say my favorite website is Insert Learning. And I type that in. It's, oh, since I'm here in preview, it's not going, let me see. It shouldn't take that. I was expecting an error to pop up, but it didn't. So I'll still go back and show that to you. Write about your favorite lunch. So again, when the students are writing about this, if it's not a minimum of 70 words, since I set it up for the response validation, it won't let them submit it. What's the code for the classroom? Same thing. If it's not the right code, it won't let them submit it. But again, I am just, oh, here, it finally came. It's just going slow. It's saying, please put in a website address. So it's wanting the full HTTP. So you might have to explain that if you do use the URL, it's going to want the full URL that you have up here in the Omnibox. So I can either cut and paste it or actually then type it in. And then when I put that in, then it should accept it. Same thing here, it was just slow going. I thought it should show up. This is letting the students know that it must be at least 75 characters. So they need to write a little bit more here. So any of them with response validation, that's what's going to happen. If I go here to next, again, since I didn't make these required and I'm previewing it. Oh, did they change something? Did I make any of them required yet? I know I have the second section, but usually when you previewed it, it let me go to the next section. Maybe since I started answering some of the questions, it's not letting me. So maybe I shouldn't have started answering some of the questions. Let me see. Let me just preview a new one. So then I hit next. There we go. So I don't know if you saw what happened there. I was previewing it and it usually lets me go to next because I didn't make these required, but I started to type in some of these answers. And since I had some of them set up for the response validation, it wasn't allowing me to go to the next section until I made sure I had 75 characters here. But usually when you're previewing it, you don't have to answer them. So right here, then I'm still in the preview mode. It did let me go to the next section. And then, yeah, I've got the video there. That's where I want it. Here's the question. Oh, I see that I misspelled dice. I have a capital I there, so I'll want to go back and fix that. And oh, I'll probably want to go back and put in some other options here based off of from the video. Then it also shows me, oh, I've got this one point. Oh, I put 0 points here. I'll need to go back and change 1 point for this question as well. and then I can hit submit if need be, or I can hit back. So again, that was in preview. I put it in preview so that I could, you know, kind of look to see what it's going to look like for the students or whoever I'm sending it out to. And I can go back and make changes. So like with this one, yep, here's the answer, Berlin, but I forgot to go and give points. So if I go down here to answer key, I've got Berlin as the answer. Come up here to points, I can give it a 1 or how many ever points that I want. What's nice about this, then it will grade it for me when the kids answer the questions. I could also give add answer feedback. So if they got this right, I could give them a feedback and say, yay, congratulations, or whatever I would like to put on the feedback. I can also give feedback for incorrect answers. So I could also insert a video here or a link to a website or another form or something if I want the kids to have more practice on whatever they're missing, or to give them some more information. So I can put, I can enter feedback here, right here where I went to answer feedback. So this is a form, multiple different ways to ask questions, and you can turn it into a quiz. You don't have to have it a quiz. So how did I turn this into a quiz? So if I come up here to the gear, or Nicole, any major questions there? Okay. All right, so if I go up here to the gear, I go into the settings. This will be your best friend when you are working with forms. So what I could do, I could have it collect email addresses. I could put that as a question myself, or I could just click on it, collect email addresses. If I do, then it's going to ask you for your email, kind of like on the form you filled out today. I could require sign-in. I could restrict this to users just within my school. If it's something that I want parents to fill out, I can uncheck mark that so that other people can fill it out. Again, you have control over that. And then also limit to 1 response. I don't know if you remembered how I showed you that example of the t-shirt sign up. You know, there's some surveys out there you only want people to answer 1 time. Make sure that they only can respond to it once. Again, usually with quizzes, I only want them to respond to the quiz once. If for some reason, if you forget to check this and they've got the quiz and they're taking it several times, don't panic, because it does timestamp it when they fill out the form. So you can always look at the first form they filled out and take their grade from that. And then you do have choice over what respondents can do after they submit. So are you going to allow them to edit after submit? So with the t-shirt sign up, I allowed them to edit after submit. If they put a size medium and then later decided they want a different size, they could go back and edit that. Again, with quizzes, I always turn that off where they couldn't edit it after they submitted. Also, you could have them see the summary charts and text responses of everyone's answers. Again, usually with quizzes, I didn't, but if this was a survey that I wanted people to see other people's answers, then I could turn that on. Presentation tab. So do you see under settings, you've got 3 different tabs: general, and then presentation, and quizzes. So presentation, have you ever taken a 50-question multiple choice question test? Or have you ever taken a survey that was long and you wanted to see how far you needed, how much more you had to go? You wanted to begin with the end in mind, right? So what you could do here, you could do a show progress bar. So if you have, let's say you had a 50 question quiz and you had 10 questions in each section, then the kids could see their progress and how much farther they had to go within the quiz. Because sometimes if you had 50 question quizzes, 50 questions all on one section, that might overwhelm some of your students. That might overwhelm me. So again, technology allows you for differentiation and to help hopefully ease the anxiety or stress that comes with quiz taking. You could also shuffle question order. So if kids are taking the quiz at the same time, they wouldn't necessarily have the same question up because you shuffled the question order. You could, on some of them, you could show link to submit another response, but that's not showing up because I turned that off over here. Limit to one response. If I turn that on, then if you look here, then yeah, I can put show link to submit another response. So sometimes if you're having people fill out a form for something that they can submit several different responses, you'll probably want to show the link there at the end of the form. So if they want to go ahead and fill out another form, they could. Right here at confirmation message, you could also put, at the end, once they turn in the form, yay, congratulations, you've completed the quiz. Now you can start looking at chapter 24 in your textbook, or, whatever it may be. You could put your response right here. And then quizzes. So right now I did turn this on to make this a quiz. At any time I can turn it off or on just by hitting that button. And then another thing here is locked mode on Chromebooks. So if you have managed Chromebooks at your school, you can turn the locked mode on. What this means that when you give a student a form, they will have to take it on the Chromebook that's managed by your school district, and they won't be able to open up any other tabs while they're on that form. Now, if you, during this time of remote learning, some schools don't have the one-to-one devices, or may have other devices besides Chromebooks. You won't have this option, or if you do have it turned on, they won't be able to access the quiz. So my son signed into a laptop we have here, and he tried to access a quiz, a form. It wouldn't let him open it because he wasn't on his managed Chromebook that was issued by the school district. Also right here, you can release grade. You can release grade immediately after they submit the form so that they see it as soon as they submit it, or you can release it later after manual review. So if you've got some short answers or paragraphs that you want to grade yourself, it'll grade the other questions for you. If it's like multiple choice and you have an answer key. But then later you can manually review the other questions you've got, and I'll show you how to do that. And then respondents. Here you can, respondents can see missed questions. Do you want them to see correct answers and or point values? So again, you have control over all of that. And all of this, again, this is a lot to take in, especially if you're new to forms. All of this is up here in the gear and settings. If you look here to the left, we've got this paint palette here. You can change the theme. You can choose a different image. If you saw the image that I have on the form that you filled out today, it was, I think, an image of the beach. Again, choose whatever image you would like. You can choose the color, and then you do have a few, 4 different font styles you can choose from for your form. And then we've got add-ons here. So again, there's different add-ons that will allow you to do things. There's an add-on that will form notifications and form publisher. So look to see what add-ons are out there. Some of your add-ons, for some of you, you might not be able to add add-ons on. So try your personal account to look at add-ons. Sometimes the majority of the schools usually push it out on the back end. And then if you come up here to these three dots, I've got undo. I can make a copy. As you can see, I have some other options here. Here's where I add collaborators. It's a little bit different than how you add collaborators in Google Docs or Google Slides. I just click on Add Collaborators here, and I can add people in groups. Some of you might be noticing that they did change this yesterday afternoon. Yesterday morning it wasn't changed, but yesterday afternoon they did change the look of when you share links, or when, you know, the shareable links. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, shareable links, or when you add people in groups. So this does look different than what it looked like on Monday. Very similar, it's just a different look to it here. So right here, right now this form is restricted, only people added can open with this link. I can change that by clicking on change. Right now it's restricted. I can change it to just people within the Learning Technology Center or anyone with the link. Okay, so anyone with the link, it's letting me know, hey, editors will be able to view and delete form responses. So if I come up here, I've got some editors right here. So they would be able to do that at any time. I can change those editors. I can remove them if I don't want them editing this form anymore. And then I can copy this link if I want to give this link out. Another way I could do this, I don't know if you saw there, I clicked on this gear. Again, anytime you see the gear or three dots, click on it. Here's where you can have disable, where editors can change permissions and share. So if you are sharing something with someone, you don't want them to be able to change permissions or share it with other people, you can disable that. And here's where you can disable where they could download, print, and copy as well. So that was under the gear once I went to sharing to add collaborators. Another place, if I go up here and click send, so I could send this form to people via email. I could send this form and get the link for it. And I can even embed this form into Google Sites. Again, here's another place I can add collaborators. So as you can see with Google, there's multiple ways to sometimes to get to the same place. So if I wanted, yesterday we talked about Google Classroom. So if I go into my classroom and I wanted to add this form to my classroom, all I would have to do is go into my classroom and go up to classwork. And again, if you're new to Google Classroom, don't panic. I do have a video from yesterday's workshop that you can learn about Google Classroom if you'd like, or you could take the online class that the Learning Technology Center offers. I could come up here to create. Now, how I've always operated, I always create the forms first, and then I add them to my classroom. Do you have to? No, you don't. So I already added the quiz assignment, or I created the form. I could go here and create a quiz assignment. I've already created it. So what I will do is come up here to create assignment, give this a name, and then I want to add. So what do I want to add? I could get the link and add it with the link, or I could go to my Google Drive. So if this is the form I want to add, what I could do, go to send here, get the link, I'll copy it, go back to my classroom, and I go to link, and I just paste it, and I hit add link. So here it created the Google Forms sign in here in this link here. If you see, if I go to add and I go to Google Drive, I can do the same thing here. Here's the form I want, hit add. And it looks like when I did the link, it's asking for a sign in. I don't know why. That's just how it's showing up, that icon there. But it's the same thing. It goes to the same form. Again, here's another place I can turn on lock mode on Chromebooks if I'm in Google Classroom environment. And then I can go ahead and show how many points this form's worth. I can put a due date on here. So just like when I'm creating an assignment, I can just fill out all of this here. This is something, this grade importing, it says Classroom can import grades for assignments. And when you do turn this on, it does limit each form to 1 response per user. It does collect email addresses and restricts responses to users in your domain. And again, that's just protecting kids. So that's not letting me turn it on. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to look at my settings here. And then I go ahead and go out to assign, and then the students then will be able to access that form. So as you can see, you can create forms and put them in and share with your students in Classroom. Now, if I did set this up, I think did I set it up where that, so later after manual review. So let me show you what happens to that then. So if I go to responses here, this will show me I've had 3 people take this form. If I go to summary, this will give me the summary of all of the people who took the form and how they scored. And I can take a look at it that way. If I go question, it breaks it down question by question and gives me the answer. Here's one ungraded response, because these are the ones that I've got it set up that I'm going to, I could set up to grade myself. So, you know, write about your favorite school lunch. I'm going to, you know, grade to look at that to see if they wrote anything there. And then I could also, so that goes question by question, how 3 people answered it. And then if I look at individual, I could also look at individual, how this individual answered this as well. So that's under responses. But if I had the grades released after manual review, after I review it, then I would go right here. So I'm under the summary tab. So there's 3, once I'm in responses, there's 3 tabs here. And under the summary tab, this is where I could release the scores once I've looked at all of the forms. And then when I release it, then they would get an email, and then they could click on the link to see how they scored on the form or the quiz that they filled out. Again, if the kids still have this link, but I'm done accepting responses, I can turn this off, and they will get the message that the form's no longer accepting responses. If I want a different message there, I could put a different message there, but this is the default one that Google puts there. And then again, up here, there's 3 dots. Again, I'm on the responses tab. And so there's 3 dots here. I can unlink this form, download the responses, print them all, delete them all. Especially, I would want to delete them all if I'm using the form again with more students, or using the form next year with other students, so then I didn't see the responses from last year's students. And then there's this magic green button here. And this is why in this workshop, I'm throwing sheets in here as well, because forms, what you can do then, you can click on the magic green button. It creates a sheet for you of all of the data, all in one place. So if I click on this right here, here's the sheet with all of the answers. If you see here, timestamp of the different times that people took it here, and the answers. So it puts it in a spreadsheet form. I can, within the sheet, I can filter it. I can put it by last name. I can sort it A to Z, Z to A, whatever I would like to. So I'll talk more about sheets here in a minute, but just wanted to let you know about the sheets right there. And then up here also with so there's a couple things I want to go back on. The required button, and up here, right now I just have this in my drive, but again, I can sort this. I can put it in the folder that I want right from me working on the form. If I don't have the form here that I want, I can always add a new folder. So if you don't see the folder here that you want to put it in, you can add a new folder and put it in there, select it, and then hit move here. But again, all my changes are saved in Drive automatically. I never have to click on save. Okay, so right now I don't have these required. Again, the reason why I didn't have it required is so that I could go through, make sure the questions and answers were how I wanted them, the points were accurate. And if that's the case, then if I like everything how it is, then I do want to make all of the questions required that I want to for sure the students to answer, so they can't accidentally not answer one. Because as you saw earlier when I was in the form that I was previewing, it won't let me move on until I've answered them or answered them correctly based on the response validation. So I would have to just go and click on or required on all of them. Again, the answer key, to get to the answer key, all you have to do, go back to the question, click on answer key. But for answer key to show up, you will have to have turned on the quiz mode. So let's say I'm making a form right now, putting in a bunch of multiple choice questions and answers, and I don't see the answer key. The answer key will disappear or won't be there until you've turned on the quiz mode. And you see how with this drop down, it doesn't let me make it required. With this one, with the check boxes, it does make it required. So again, depending on the type of question you have here, you know, there are different filters or different possibilities you can have. A couple other things I didn't tell you about over here is that you can add a title and description to each question or section if you'd like. Here's how to add an image, and then here's how to add a video. I know I showed you that video that I had in there, but I don't think I actually showed you how to add a video. So wherever I have whatever question I'm on, do you see how this toolbar kind of follows you? So it's with this question right now. If I move down to this question, it follows me. So if I want to add a new question, I can, and then I can always click on add, select a video. I can type in, I could do a video search, or if I have the URL for the video, I can put that in there as well. So again, I'll look up Jerry Brooks. And then here's his videos here. So then if I wanted one, select it, hit select, and then it inserts. Nicole, what else would you like to add?
I think you've basically covered everything. So I think you're good. We talked about responses, linking it to the spreadsheet. One other thing also, once you have form responses that are linked to a spreadsheet, check the spreadsheet. If they are already in the sheet, you can delete the responses off of your form. And so you can reuse the same form over and over again. If you delete them off of the form, as long as they're already imported into the sheet, they will not delete off the sheet.
Is that what you're just talking about, the delete all responses? It'll delete off the form?
Yeah, but I would definitely verify first that it's already transferred into the sheet that you've linked it to. Once it's there, then delete them. You can, if you want to use the same form.
Yeah, thank you. So it is a lot of information. The best way to do this is try it. Let your kids know that if you're new to this, you're trying it out. You might make mistakes. As you saw, I think I explained the t-shirt sign up mistake I made, but I know I've made several other mistakes while I was learning about Google Forms. So You may forget about where things are. Don't panic, take a deep breath. Feel free to look back at this video, or sometimes just Google your question and be amazed what else you might find out there and learn more about as well. So let's go ahead and go to Sheets. I will tell you, this workshop does end today at 11. I know yesterday some people were questioning what time it ended. Yesterday's was from 10 to 12:30, but today's is only 2 hours. So wanted to let you know we'll end at 11, but feel free. It's easy for you guys to take breaks or whatever you need during this time of learning. So we'll keep moving forward here and talk about Sheets. Excuse me. So a few things with Sheets. Before I go to Sheets, let me see if there was anything else here in the slide deck. Oh, I do want to talk about a couple other things here. Accessibility mode. Some of you guys might have, you know, when it does go into locked mode on Chromebooks, you can't get to the shelf. So there are some shortcut keys to get some of those accessibility features back on your form for your students. So here's some shortcut keys. Could there be more out there? Could be. Some of the Chrome extensions, you know, since it does lock down the Chromebook here, there are some Chrome extensions that are available during a lock quiz. If you're wondering about if one extension is available, Google it, check out the extension. It usually will let you know. I know, Nicole, you do a lot with accessibility features. Do you know offhand any of the Chrome extensions?
I don't, because I don't use lock mode.
Okay. And then just added a few other slides here that will hopefully jog your memory on some things if you need it after the fact. Again, I know some of you are on the journey of your Google level 1 or level 2 certification. I did throw some challenges in here, kind of go through those to see if you can manipulate and create your own forms. I know we talked about this before, that as of right now, the Google level 1 and level 2 forms or exams are the same. It's what we've talked about, but I had said that they are changing the format. I thought it was going to come the end of April, but Nicole just shared with us that the look is changing, but is it June 30th is when the changeover is going to take place, Nicole, or do you know yet?
I don't think they released a specific date. Right now, teachers can still use the old web assessor criterion, but eventually they will be moving everybody to the new ProctorU system. So if you are someone that was thinking of taking the test, you probably want to take it sooner rather than later.
Perfect. So as we hear more information with that, we will get that out to you as well. All right, so in Sheets, again, I'm just going to go over the basic information on Sheets today. So some of the operations, charts, and ranges. I also threw this in here on slide 17. Google is known for having, they call it Easter eggs throughout, whether it's Google Chrome or some different apps out there. Basically, it's kind of like hidden things that some people know about. If you Google Google's Easter eggs, they'll give you a whole list of different things out there. I'm always in the classroom. I had kids who would learn or want to show the kids some different things that they learned. I always gave them time and to do that, but it made them feel good about it. So here on slide 17, this was one, if you type in pride in each of these cells, then it changes your spreadsheet this color. So try that today as we're moving, learning about Sheets. But Nicole, do you know any other Google Easter eggs for Sheets that are out there?
Not offhand. I've seen some people actually do some things where basically it's conditional formatting. They'll have their kids create an image using Sheets to practice, you know, like the littles practicing getting things into specific cells. but great advice to just Google it. There's a ton of them out there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, you might have kids with Google Chrome do some of the, like the barrel roll, make their Google Chrome turn or do different things. And that's where you learn about it. But sometimes kids would turn the screens upside down and leave it like that for the next class as they came in. And that kind of, I gave them the platform to teach the class how they're doing all of these different things. So then that took away the fun of leaving some of the things for the next class as they came in. So that might help you be a step ahead of some of your kids when we get back with them. So with Google Sheets here, again, I've got a link here for ideas for sheets, but I am going to go ahead and open up on slide 18, the sample gradebook, and feel free to open that as well. Again, this is how you can force to make a copy if you're just giving someone the link. We had, you could do it manually, or how I do that is I use that Sir Links-a-Lot Chrome extension up here that it forces a copy of anything that I am working on. And if I want to give that link out to anyone, then it brings up that screen that they can't accidentally edit that. It makes their own copy. So everyone should have, if you have another screen open, you should have it saying copy of sample grade. So you can type on this, you can do whatever you want with it. It is yours. It's not the original. So first off here, this is just a simple grade book. We've got the student's name here in column A, and then we've got 4 different tests here in the columns B through E, and then we want to find the average in column F. So with this, what we could do with the average, I will tell you with Sheets, this is, out of all of the apps, Sheets brings the most anxiety to people. And take a deep breath here. And after doing this workshop one other time back in April, I had got responses from people saying they feel so much better about Sheets. So hopefully learning a few new tricks will help you, and especially help maybe ease your anxiety or stress that you have over Sheets. So with average, you don't have to memorize the formula to do the average. All you have to do is a couple different places you can go. I can come up here to my functions, and I can just type or click on average. When I do that, it brings up this formula, equals average, and what do I want in it? I can do a couple things. If you played Battleship before, and I say B2, in Battleship you'd have to go look at B and go down to 2, and you might say hit or miss. Same concept. So if you haven't played Battleship, you're looking to see where the column and the row intersect. But so if I go right here, so I see B2, and I want all the way through E2. So I can type it in if I want, or I can just go and highlight it, and it puts it in for me. It says, hey, do you want equals average B2 colon E2? Yeah, that's what I want. Up here, it gives me the answer. I just click enter, and it puts the answer there. Now, where did the formula go? The formula is up here in the formula bar. It's still there. Don't panic though. Most of the time you won't have to memorize it. But so that's one way to do it. I went over here, I clicked on the function tool, went to average, and then I highlighted it. Another way you could do this, I could highlight it first, go to function tool and go to average, and it puts it in there. It included this one, but I can just go here and delete F and type in E, and then I've got my average there. I can move it if I want. Whoops, it moved 2 cells. Just hit the undo, and it lets me move it when I grabbed it with my hand. Did you see how it turned it into a hand? So then when I do that, I can just move it where I want. Again, it's saying, hey, equals average B3 colon to E3, B3 through E3. If I double click on it, it shows me, hey, here's what I'm taking the average of, here's my answer, here's my formula. If I want to get out of that, just click enter and it puts it there. So what I can do here also, instead of going through this and doing this, 24 times for the 24 students I have here, or 25 students, do you see this little square in the bottom right-hand corner? What I can do is, do you see how my mouse changes from the arrow to the plus sign? Hold that plus sign down. I'm over it's called the fill handle. And what that's going to do, it's going to fill the average for all of these rows for me. So if you don't believe me, what you can do, double click on one. It shows you, hey, this is what it took the average of for Maria. And it just fills it down. So why didn't it fill these two? Because I didn't drag it all the way down to those two. Could I drag it farther down? I could, and it's giving me errors. Why? Because I don't have anything in there. But once I put something in there, it's going to then take the average of the numbers there. Okay. Now, do you see how it did 45.666? It did a bunch of decimal points. For some reason, this wasn't formatted. So what I could do, I could format this. So I'm assuming that these are probably the same. I could just highlight all of them, come here, and I want to decrease my decimal places. And I can do it one by one if I want, or I can come down here, hit the down arrow, and then I could go down to decimal places. If I wanted to go out to 2, just click on that. Oh, it didn't take it to 2. I can decrease it that way. Oh, I messed it up somehow. I can always hit the undo button. So I guess decrease it that way, but I was thinking there was a faster way to just decrease it all at once. So there probably is right here, but as you can see, you can format the numbers how you would like. Sometimes if you type in a number and it changes it to a date, again, some reason it was formatted as a date, all you have to do is come up here and change it to automatic or plain text or number, whatever you need it to go to. So right here is where you can change the formatting of the numbers. You can also go up here to format numbers and you get the same thing. So again, multiple different ways to go about changing that. Now, another thing here, so let's say I had 150 students, or I'm looking at a bunch of test data, whether it's MAP testing or any other state testing. I want to see what my header is always what it is. You know, if I'm looking down here at 100E and there's a 50, and I want to say, okay, well, what was the header up here? I can freeze my rows and I can freeze columns. So if I go up here to view, if I go to freeze, so right now I have row 1 frozen. How do I know that? Do you see this thick line under it? It's kind of gray. That means it's frozen. I could also click there and go up here to freeze. And here I can freeze 1 row, 2 rows, up to current row 1. I can highlight different things and have them froze. I can do the same thing with columns. So I want to freeze this row, and as you can see, it's frozen. So as I'm going down and looking at all the test data, my headers stay up there. Couple other things here. Again, you do have, if students are collaborating on a spreadsheet, you do have version history. You can see what students are doing. So since it is with Google, it's very similar to some of the other apps. You can download it as, can download it as a PDF or different things, make a copy, you can move it, add shortcut drives. So very similar, but of course, this is a different application. So it does have some different things you can manipulate with. So we're concentrating on the data in the sheet then. So now what if I want to create a chart? So if I want to see, have all of the names in a chart, and the averages. So if I want to highlight two columns that aren't next to each other, I need to hold down the Control key or the Command key. Control keys on a Chromebook or laptop, Command keys on a Mac. And if I hold down the Control key, then I can go to a couple different places for the chart. I can come up here and insert chart, or I can go over here, insert chart. It doesn't matter. You go where you're most comfortable with. And then I click on insert chart. It inserts this chart automatically for me. What if I don't like it? I can change it. Okay, so do you see how I kind of grabbed it when I put my cursor there and it changed, it gave me a hand? Did it let me move it? Okay, where did my chart stuff go? It was over here. How do I get it back? Okay, couple different things. So if I click on those three dots here, go to edit chart. I've got my chart editor back. So don't panic, but sometimes we get in that mode of panicking. It automatically put it in a scatter chart for me. It put the averages here on the y-axis. On the x-axis, it put the students' names. It put the title there for the x-axis and the y-axis there. Again, could I change those? I could. But those came from me including the word name and average in the header. If I didn't have anything there, then it wouldn't put anything there, but I could manually put that there. So if I come over here and click on scatter chart, I've got some of the other suggested charts that the Sheets suggest for me. If I don't like the suggestions, I could come down here and choose any of these that I wanted. And this one, I just threw that didn't have a name by it. I just threw those numbers in. So let's say I don't want that there anymore. I go here and delete. What happens to that? It automatically updates my chart based off of the information here. So if for some reason I went and changed, had to change some data here, it will automatically change the chart. So if you see, I've got the chart, it's in descending order by average. Could I change that if I wanted to? I could change that. If I changed it, I could sort the sheet in ascending order by average, and then it automatically changed the chart there. I could sort it by ascending order by first name. But if you go up here, I don't know, sometimes I do things and I'm not telling you what I'm doing. I apologize. If I click right here, do you see this arrow here? That arrow then gives me more options here within Sheets. Okay. So I created this chart. If I need to edit it anymore, I can go back here to the three dots and edit it. Also with this chart, I could delete it if I don't want it anymore. I could download it, publish it, copy it, or move it to its own sheet. So right now, I am in a file called copy of sample grades. Why is it called copy of sample grades? Because it forced me to make a copy. I can delete the word copy of, put sample grades. I could put, I like to put dates on my document, so I could put that there. Do I have to put dates on it? No, because I could always go into my information to see when it was created. But that's just my naming convention sometimes when I'm working with documents during a workshop. So right now in this file, I have this sheet 1, I have this sheet 3, okay? And then I have named this. So within this file, there are 3 sheets here at the bottom, sheet 1, sheet 3, and then this one called name this. So if I wanted to, I could come here and click on these 3 dots, and I could move this to its own sheet. So voila, I've got an own sheet. I'm thinking, oh, what happened to my spreadsheet now? Don't panic. Come down here at the bottom of this file. It's still the same file, sample grades 5, 6, 20, but sheet 1, and then chart 1. Could I rename this? I could. Right here, I've got another drop down arrow. I could rename that to whatever I want. If I want to put an average chart, I can name it that. And then just click off, it named it average chart. I could protect the sheet, I could hide the sheet. So within a file, you could protect the sheet so that if you did share this document with someone else, they can't make changes to it, make changes to this sheet. You could hide the sheet if you don't want them to see it. Again, change color, delete, duplicate. You can move right or left, or you can even drag it right or left, kind of like with tabs. So a lot of different options you can have. Can I make a chart with the same data again? Yeah, I could have several different charts based off of this data. So if I wanted to see a chart of how the students did just with each test, I could do that as well. Now, again, if you're looking at a lot of data, you might want to use conditional formatting. What conditional formatting will allow you to do, it may, depending on how you set up the rules, will highlight different things. So, for example, instead of me talking about it, I'll just show you. If I go to Format and I go down to Conditional Formatting, right here with Conditional Formatting rules, what I can do, it's apply to range. Right now it just shows me G10. Why? Because that's where I'm clicked on. So I could do a couple things. I could come up here. If I click on this right here in the upper left-hand corner, it's right underneath the formula bar, that will select the whole spreadsheet for me. If I want the whole spreadsheet selected, I could do that. If not, I could highlight what I want. I could highlight my data, again, depending on how big the spreadsheet is. And then I could apply range. So right now it only chose G10 because when I clicked on conditional formatting, that's all that came up. So I could type it in if I want, or I could click X, come back here to Format, Conditional Formatting, and it shows A1 to F26. Anytime you want to show through, you wanted to include it, you put a colon in it within sheets. So it's going A1 to F26, okay? So right now it turned my whole sheet the default color, this green. Because right now the format rule is set up that if the format cell, if is not empty, then change my cell to this color. So if I want to just take a look at, I want the cell to be greater than. So if I want the cell to be greater than 41, then I want it to turn it green. What if I'm just wanting to look at averages? Then I could come back here and I would just change this range to F2, colon to F26, hit enter, and it's just taking from this column F. So at any time when you do have these conditional formatting rules, you can go and change the range. So if I put 41, then what if I want to add another rule? So if I wanted to add another rule about still the same thing, F2 to F26, what if I want to say greater than or equal to, let me put 47. Oh, this is changing. Let's see. Oh, let me change the color. Okay, so do you see what's happening here? I've got two rules here that are kind of overlapping. I've got greater than 41, and I had my other one as being, what, 47? So what I should have done, I should have put, they're overlapping each other. So let me put, let's do less than or equal to 40. And change the color. And hit done. So what I'm going to do up here, this value is greater than or equal to 47. It's not showing because this one came first. So what I can do, I can just delete that one. That takes away. Right now, this isn't showing me that much because I do have it in ascending order by average. So if I went over here and changed this to names, now if I had it sorting in ascending order, A to Z for names, then it kind of points out to me who's below 41, was it 41 and below, and then who was above 41. And I have the two different colors. So I would have to know what the rules are and what it would stand for. But again, this is a way to make it stand out, and to, all of this data, especially if you're looking at all the test scores or tests between teachers in your PLC meetings. So this is a great tool to use when looking at lots of data. It's called conditional formatting. And I think, Nicole, you had said something about conditional formatting a little bit ago.
Yeah, same thing you're doing. I
Oh.
just, in terms of putting in a rule that you want.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to jump back over here to the slide deck to see it. Let's see. Again, that was some basic information on sheets. So hopefully that has eased your anxiety on working with sheets. So, when you're working with sheets of student data, completing the form, same thing. I could highlight and do conditional formatting of the right answers, wrong answers. And again, then I could compare this. If there's another teacher in my building that teaches the same thing, we can see, if her students got one question, all of her students got the question, what is the capital of Illinois, right? But my students didn't. I might then have a conversation with her about, what is she doing to prepare the students to know the capital of Illinois compared to what I'm doing. So again, sometimes we get all this data thrown at us and we don't have time to break it down. But if you do have time to break it down and use conditional formatting, hopefully you will find that to help you immensely. Again, you'll have this video to go back to, or if you just Google conditional formatting, you might even find someone explaining it on a shorter video. Or even explaining it step by step. You know how you best learn. Some people like watching a video to learn. Some people like reading through and learning how to do that. So just like with Docs or some of the other apps within the G Suite apps for education, you've got this menu bar up here with lots of other things here. Remove duplicates. I used to use an add-on for that. Now they've incorporated it. I think that was fairly new within the last 6 months. And then you can see here, anytime they do push something out new, they do put new to the right of it. So again, just like with anything, it's constantly changing, hopefully changing for the better to help you. If you go to add-ons again, you can see add-on C. I used to use an add-on called remove duplicates. Now I don't have to. It's within the form or within the sheet now. So, if you need the sheet to do something and you're not for sure how to do it, Google it or see if there's an add-on to help you do the function that you need it to do. So good luck. I think with sheets, hopefully that will, again, ease your anxiety a little bit when you get all of this data from the forms the students create. Did anybody try the pride on your spreadsheet? Was that pretty cool? Did it work for you or did it not work for you? Oh, someone's asking, how do you keep the Easter egg colors but not the letters at the top of the columns? People are saying it worked for them. Anytime you delete them, then the colors go away. So you could hide that row. That's what you could do. When you create the sheet, you could just hide that row. So to hide a row, was it under view? There's a place to hide a row. Maybe is it right click? There you go, right click on it, hide a row. hide that where it says the pride and see if it all stays. Let me know, because I've never hidden the word pride, and to see if the rainbow colors stayed.
That worked. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So I think there's always, yeah, different ways. And if you look over here, when I hit a row, do you see I've got arrows there to let me know, hey, there's another row there? Then you can just click on it to get it back. Click on that arrow. My suggestion when you're trying something new, make sure it's not a document that you're sharing with a bunch of teachers or your principals or administrators, or if it is, make a copy of it and play around with it, see what you can do. You know, that play time, I always think is essential for people to explore and hopefully not be afraid to mess things up. But remember, the undo button is your friend as well. But my suggestion, make a copy of a document, or make sure it's a document that you own and you're not collaborating or sharing with it with anybody else on. Okay, so we covered Google Forms, Google Sheets. Again, Google Sheets was just a preview, a basic information to help you maybe try to get some of that data that you're getting from the forms to help you understand and look at that data. So Sheets can do so much more. If you want to, you know, again, Google to learn more about it. But we're going to move on here. We've got about 23 minutes left, and we're going to go over Screencastify. Screencastify is one tool that you can use to do a recording of yourself and your screen at the same time if you need to teach your students that. It's also, you know, after this remote learning is over, it is also another way then you can incorporate into your classroom flipped learning or blended learning. I don't know if you've heard those terms before, but you know, just how you learn differently. Some of you love having this human interaction, having these live workshops. Some of you would rather go and learn by watching a video and you can stop and start it at your convenience. Some of you like learning by reading it yourself, seeing examples. So again, lots of different ways to learn. So you could do this, but you might ask yourself, or you might be asking yourself, well, I don't have the time to make these recordings for everything. It's okay, you don't need the time. Hopefully you have your students, whether it's now or in the future, that they could do screencasts of themselves and their screen, and you could incorporate that, throw that in a slide into Google Classroom, into a form, that screencast, that they can go back and go at their own pace to learn, whether it's learning about how to add fractions or how to do cursive, whatever it may be. I always try to incorporate, you know, I always ask myself, is this something a student could do to save me time? Students love to, a majority of students love to show themselves on camera and talk. Do all students? No, but we'll show you where you could have the webcam embedded or where you don't have to. But a screencast could also be a way for you to see if the kids understand what you've just taught them. And that could be a way for them to show you mastery of that concept as well. And then you could use those screencasts, as long as you get their permission, use them with other classes or with other struggling students. Say, hey, this is how Joey did this. He walked us through the process of his learning process of how to add fractions or whatever it may be. So again, I'm showing you Screencastify. Screencastify is a Chrome extension. Again, if your district doesn't allow you to add Chrome extensions, don't panic. Try it on your personal account and then see if there's a way, if Screencastify is what you really like, if there's a way they can add it, or there could be other extensions or other apps or tools out there that might be able to do the same thing. And I know there are. Right now, Screencastify has a free version and a premium version. And I think here on one of the slides, I might have it where it talks about the cost. But like most of these extensions or apps, they may be offering the premium version for free during this time of remote learning. But real quick here on slide 19, let me show you. This was a couple weeks ago. Well, I guess, gosh, March 13th. This is when they posted this, but their video recordings with Screencastify. Oh, I don't think it was March 13th when they posted this. Maybe it is. And I guess it says that. But they showed that in the last week, so if it was March 13th, a 497% increase in videos made per day, because we had to adjust in this remote learning. So feel free, click on this link. There's other free e-learning resources here and other material you can learn about with Screencastify. So like I was talking about here, here's some other ways you can use Screencastify in the classroom. And then I'll show you how to use Screencastify here in a minute. So what does Screencastify do? It allows you to capture your tab that you have open. So right now I have several tabs open. You can even have it capture the whole screen or just the webcam only. But this way you can have webcam and screen or a tab or desktop at the same time. And then make sure the microphone's on for them to explain, because you might have a student who might be hesitant to write his explanation of how he did something or she did something. They could explain it by taking a video of themselves. So if I go up here, I've downloaded the Screencastify extension, and all I have to do then click on Screencastify. And then, so I get the screen that you just saw here on slide 21. And so here I could have my whole desktop or just one browser, one tab if I wanted, or the webcam. So when I'm ready to record, I just click on record, and then it usually does a countdown for me. So after I click on which window, I'll do my application window here, my screen 2. I click on share, and then it'll do a countdown here. Maybe. There we go. And then, so now it's recording. So did I not hit my embed the webcam? And if I did, it would be showing wherever I had it. So usually I have it in the bottom right-hand corner. And then here on slide 22, I've got some annotation tools down here that I can use. These only become live when I'm recording my screen. So how do I know I'm recording my screen? I've got these tools here. And up here, do you see on the extension, the Screencastify extension, I have the red button there that's showing me it's recording. So right down here, I can pause my recording if I need to. I have my mouse pointer. If I don't want my mouse pointer to show right now, I can turn it off. Okay. I can have a pen. So if I want to turn on the pen and write on here, I can write on here to share, to explain how to do something. So if I'm explaining how to do fractions, I could, explain how to do the fractions by using this pen here. I've got the eraser. And then, oh, here's my embed webcam. So I guess I didn't have it embedded. With having 2 screens right now, there may be an issue, but it should usually work. Anyway, I can look at it here in a second. And then if I want to write up here, wipe screen clear. So it just cleared the screen there I had. And then I also have some other annotation tools right here with the mouse pointer. I can focus my mouse. So if I want the students to look at a certain spot here, I can show them, to focus their attention here. I can also hide cursor when not moved. So when I'm not moving my cursor, it hides it. And then I also have highlight click. So anytime I'm clicking, I want it to highlight so that students know this is where I'm clicking at. And I always say students, whether you're explaining something else maybe to your staff as well. If you're doing a screencast of something that you want your staff to know. So when I'm done, then all I have to come up here, I can come up here and hit stop. There it goes. It's saying my desktop's being recorded. So I can hit stop or pause, or I can put it in the trash. And then what happens then, it brings up another screen. This is why sometimes you'll see when you add some of these extensions, they need to access your drive. What happens once I added Screencastify up here, it created a folder in my drive called Screencastify, and all of my screencasts are saved in that folder. Do I have to save it? No, it automatically syncs within my Google Drive and saves that. So right now it's saving to my drive. And what I can do then, I can copy a shareable link, or what's nice then, Screencastify plays nicely with Google, or Google plays nicely with Screencastify. I'm sure there's money on the back end that Screencastify had to pay Google. But if this was a video I wanted my kids to see, I could share to the classroom. If I'm using Classroom, I could publish to YouTube. So if I was doing a screencast instead of using Zoom to record my workshops here, I could just strictly publish this to YouTube right now, or I could even download it. So as you can see, as I'm talking here, it's still uploading to Google Drive. And then when it does get done, if I go over to my Google Drive and I go to my folders, I can scroll down in my folders and I should find a folder called Screencastify. Same thing, some of you might be using Google Meets to record some information, very similar. Google Meet also, if you look here at my folders, I have my Meet recordings. So anything I record in Google Meets gets automatically put into my folder called Meet Recordings. Did I create that folder? I didn't. The app on the back end, when I started to record in Google Meets, it added it. Google has it set up that it adds to my drive there. And then here's my Screencastify folder. I don't add these screencasts in here. They are added in here. And then I can see all the files here. Again, if I want to see one, I can click on the eye here and it will give me some information when it was modified, opened, if I use Screencastify Video Editor. So again, remember, I think your school district might have to reach out to Screencastify to get the premium version for free right now. If not, Screencastify has a free version. You can use it today on your personal account if you can't on your school account. And you can kind of see the difference. I'm sure if you Google it, you can see what's in the premium version compared to the free version. I think I don't know if I have it on the slide deck, the premium version before it went free, I think it was maybe $35 a year. Again, I don't know. I think the school district, if that's something that a majority of the teachers use, I think there might be even a school license. Again, that's worth checking into. Google it to find out, or even go to the Screencastify website. So if you look here on slide 23, what it does, if I share this to my classroom, then it lets me pick the class that I want to share it to. So if I go back here to video details, it's done uploading to Google Drive. I can come up here and give it a name. So if you don't give it a name, you'll just have a bunch of files in your Screencastify folder called Untitled. And I think sometimes I forget to give it a name. I don't know if anybody looked at my my folder, if I had a lot of untitled files in my Screencastify folder. Right now, I've had it on mute, but I could click to unmute if I would want to replay it. And then I can, go in the editor mode and I can manipulate the screencast in the editor mode. But let me give it a name and show you how you can put it in your classroom right from here. I'll just put sample, and then, so if I'm ready to share it to my classroom, click on share to classroom, and I think I had a screenshot there on that slide deck, so I can choose class, and again, choose the class I want, and then choose action. I can create it as an assignment right here, just make it as an announcement, create material. I have 4 different choices right here. So if I create it as an assignment and come down here, hit go, and then it connects me to my classroom, and it brings up here, I can add instructions, I can put students can view file, edit file, make a copy for each. With this video though, it's just view file. Points, I can put points here if I would like to. And then again, I can assign it right now or schedule it for later. So you have all of those options. You don't have to open up a new tab in the beginning. You just push it to share it to classroom, and then it will connect you to your classroom. Similar to publishing it to YouTube. So I will show you here real quick. If I open this in editor, it's firing it up here. If you notice, anytime you see the word beta on any thing that you're using, that means it's in testing mode. So you may see changes to it later on. So hopefully you're not getting too comfortable with the way it looks. But here I can trim out or cut parts of my video. I can crop it. So I have, all of these choices right here. Again, then I can add it back to my Google Drive, or I can download it as an MP4 file. Again, I've got these 3 lines. So as you can see, they do kind of they've made it similar to Google. And here you can create a new project, see all of your recordings, switch account. It shows which account I'm in right now. So if you've ever edited videos, it's very similar to other video editing software out there as well. If you look here on slide 24, again, here's some other lesson ideas. Again, here's a couple links to some resources that you can get you some ideas. But when you're, learning about all of these new apps, and you don't know everything about them, hopefully you are becoming more comfortable being uncomfortable, not knowing everything about the apps, and see what your students can create. Hopefully that will keep them interested, and hopefully you can learn from them as well. Here on slide 25 and 26, we've got more workshops. I know Nicole's got some workshops too. Feel free, Nicole, if you've got the registration links that you can put in here as well. And she can get those added, and you can come back to look at those. If not, you can always go to the LTC webpage, the events page, to find out all of the events as well. Again, don't forget, if you can, fill out this Google evaluation and realize that it may take 24 to 96 hours to get your ISB evaluation and then to get your certificate of completion. I hope this has helped today. Again, I do realize it was a lot of information to take in with forms, sheets, and Screencastify. I know for sure I can stay on. If Nicole can stay on too, we can answer questions of yours, but if not, good luck, and just remember to breathe. And it's okay not to know everything, and it's okay to make some of those mistakes. So as you saw, I made mistakes today, so hopefully you were forgiving and not too hard on me. So have a great day, and feel free to stay on if you've got questions or want us to go over something more in depth. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can stop the recording.